Hey guys, Kev here, and I wanted to talk about the Null Knives Ghoul. So this is a model that Null Knives released this year, I believe, at some point this year. It was a pre-order, I think, in 2023, maybe the end of 23, and then came out this year. But either way, it has been released. These are currently sold out on the Null Knives website. I did find them available at Blade HQ. Not my favorite retailer, but they're available there. It's the only place I could find them. If you know anywhere else, please let the people know in the comments. But I will link this down below. This is the one that I would pick up. I think this has, belt satin with the black and then the gold. That looks absolutely sick. This version looks really good as well. And then they have a Damasteel version too. It looks like it starts at $325, so the price is fair. And Null Knives was kind enough to send this my way. I did a review on the R2 prototype, and Sean was like, dude, thank you for the review. As a thank you, I'd love to send you a knife, and he let me pick out of a few. And I hadn't reviewed the Ghoul, so I picked the Ghoul. Also, it is, my kind of size knife, and it's a lefty-friendly knife, so I thought it would be the perfect knife to check out. So big thank you to Sean at Null Knives. Appreciate you, brother. And let's talk about it. This is the bronze titanium version with black PVD blade and PVD hardware. The blade, I believe, is just PVD, but it almost has a black wash to it. Looks really cool. I like it a lot. And funny enough, this is not the version, like I just mentioned, that I would pick myself. But this is what he had available. And I love it. It's fantastic. I love this combination. We've done this combination a few times with Divo. Bronze and black looks really good together. And, it's never like, ooh, I need that. But once I get something in bronze and black in hand, I'm always like, damn, yeah, this is a really good combination. So really happy he sent this one. And this knife is unique. It's very cool. So it is a liner lock system. But you do have sort of a bit of it exposed here. It's kind of like a tab lock in a sense. We're actually going to do a disassembly on this. I'm going to talk about the knife first and do sort of an overview. And then we'll do a disassembly. I just want to see what's inside of this baby. And, maybe throw some skiffs in there and see how the action feels. It's really good as is. The only thing I would change on the action is maybe dial the D10 up just a little bit. It's not like bad. It's just, you guys know me. I like them a little bit stout. So I do think that would probably take away a little bit on the front flipper. But, we'll see if anything changes when we take it apart. But it's very, very good. It's dialed in. You can see the clip is internally mounted, which is really nice. You have hardware free on this side except for the pivot there. You have the two body screws down here. It'll be cool to see if those go straight. Well, they obviously have to. They go straight through into the other scale. You have this really cool milling pattern down here. And then along the back here. Very nice. Just looks really cool. Very interesting shaped clip. It works really well. The handle is interesting. I think a lot of you guys would dig this. If you have a small or medium sized hand, I think this knife will really appeal to you. If you have a large glove size hand, that's what I have, a large glove size hand, it starts to get a little cramped, but it still works. I am still within the confines of the handle here. And it feels pretty comfortable. I kind of back up like this, and my pinky kind of rests down here, and it's comfortable. It works. There's no choke up position. Now, you can choke up like this if you want to, and it works. But I kind of keep it like this, and then you can also kind of do like a pinch grip like this. But if you have an XL hand, I don't know how comfortable this knife will be just because of the handle shape. but it does look really cool and it does function well for me. So yeah, the handle's cool. The blade is nice. You have this buoy looking clip point blade with a fuller there / blood groove. Really cool. Some jimping along the top here. Really nice swedging. Sean always does a really cool job with his designs. Always unique and always very detailed. It's one thing I love about Sean. I've said this before, but there's some guys who just are in a different category in terms of those small detail types things like Sharp by Design, and I definitely put Null knives in that category. I put TW Price in that category. But yeah, very cool. On the back, you have the backspacer that actually has the notch on the outside, which is interesting. Usually that's on the inside. And one feature on this knife that I really love, well, there's two. I love the way the lock bar is done. And I love this lanyard position right here. So it's kind of got, or it does have the pig snout design that I really like. We've utilized it as well. We usually put it like right here. I really like how he put it on the turn here. Obviously going to make more sense if you have a lanyard there. It's going to kind of come down here instead of having to come up and down, which makes a lot of sense to me. And you have a lot of room there on that lanyard to or lanyard post or whatever you want to call it to fit a decent sized piece of paracord in there. So I think that's a really cool way to do the lanyard spot. You can see it is dead centered, so take note of that when we disassemble this thing. Yeah, it's basically perfect. So we'll see if we end up there after disassembly, but that's on me if not. Just want to note that right here, timestamp it. So if I get all pissy, it's my fault. Love the pivot design. And then you have the really nice milling pattern. You can see that gold or bronze, sorry, ano there. Obviously, Riot OEM on this. Very well done. You have good tooling on the hardware. Very, very nice construction. I'm really a big fan of this. Now, let's check out this lock bar. So you have this tab that's kind of cut into these scales. I guess the scales are a little thicker than normal. The knife doesn't feel thick, but they made them a little thicker to fit this lock tab in there. You can see that really nice chamfering, really nice spot there to disengage the knife. It feels extremely comfortable to use. Really dig it. Lockup is really nice as well. You obviously have a do you have a steel insert on that? Or is this a steel lock bar? That's a good question. And that would answer the question as to, it looks like an insert. That would answer the question as to why it had to be thicker. Yeah, because they had to fit a steel insert on there because this is titanium. If you do a titanium liner lock like this, you have to have a steel insert because you don't want titanium on the steel. So it has to be a little thicker to be able to mount that insert, which makes perfect sense. And that worked really well in this case. It has nice milling pockets over on this side. We're going to see if it's a liner or a inset lock bar, or if it's just a nested liner. It looks like it's a nested liner lock, but we'll see. The action is really good. You can see that drops right there. Smooth shakedown. Took me about 50 flicks to break her in. I added a little bit of KPL heavy to the detent ball because it started getting gritty. That's just normal break-in. It's extremely smooth. There's no pivot lash, no side to side. When it's open, it is locked up completely, bank vault, and there's no rock. Maybe if I really wrench on it, I get the slightest, but that wouldn't concern me at all. You can see the flipper tab here is extremely well done. This is 2 in a row, I believe now, with perfect execution on the flipper tab. That jimping comes up and around the top. That is what we want to see. so you can get really good leverage on that with your fingers. Sorry about my gross fingers, but you can really get a hold of those. Roll it back with your finger like this, and you can get a good grip. You reach around, you're gonna get a good grip. Even if you grab the top, you're gonna be able to grab it because of that jimping. That's why you know, some of us always talk about that, because the companies that end it right there. Here's an example. Here's a Ramet knife that I have on the table for review, and you can see they stop the last jimp here. This is very smooth. It's not very aggressive. And then you have a nub. So it's, I mean, even just a regular front flip can be difficult because it's so smooth. You have really good aggressive jimping on this knife, so it really catches your finger. You're not gonna just slide up it like that. You're gonna get caught on it. So excellent work there. And then of course you have this blood group, so you can reverse flick it. And again, that's one of the reasons I chose this knife, is because as a lefty, I figured I have a good chance of it working really well. It doesn't matter where I put my finger. It fires out really well. Again, you know, I wish the detent was slightly stronger. It's not at all bad. I don't want to give you that impression. It's just a personal preference thing. You can hear the detent click. Really good click, especially considering it's not, like I said, not the strongest, but it obviously has good retention. Had to do a lot of wrist flicking there to even get it to come out. So really well done there by Ria and Null Knives. This knife is in M390 blade steel. I'm assuming it's right around 62. You have the Null Knives logo there instead of on the relief cut where they usually have it, because this one doesn't have a relief cut on the outside. I don't think anything else I wanted to mention. Just beautiful lines on this knife. Really cool. You know, one of the design features that I don't love on knives like this are how the blade kind of dives into the handle, and then you have a bunch of kind of handle here left over where you can't see the blade. That's one of my kind of pet peeves with knives. But, you know, it's kind of a necessity on certain designs. Again, it's a personal just preference, aesthetic type thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous looking knife. It's extremely well made, and I think the price is fair. $325 to start, $350 for the belt satin. I think that's really good. The chamfering, jimping, whatever you want to call it, right here on the lock bar is extremely comfortable. You get great access to it. Whoops. You get great access to it. Right hand reverse flick is money. I can't do it. Oh, I can do a thumb flick. Never even tried. Yeah, you could do a thumb flick pretty easy. See, yeah, wow, okay. So very good on the fuller. They left a good sharp edge, but it's not too sharp. You can see it's not picking up skin, but it really grabs you. So that's well done also. I carried this for a couple days, played with it, have really enjoyed it. So that is the Null Knives Ghoul. We're going to take it apart now. So if you were just here for the overview, for my opinion on it, it's excellent. I can recommend it. You know, you guys know that already. It's sold out on the Null Knives website. But really, really well done. And glad I got my hands on one. And again, Sean, thank you so much. So let's take it apart. Let's put that timestamp right here. Again, stating that this knife is in perfect condition, as is anything that I bitch about later is on me. There is no detent lash. It has excellent retention. There was no blade play. It is dead centered. Again, I get that slightest bit of rock if I really crank on it. Centering is right there down the middle. There's not even any movement. Again, if I really kind of do this, I can feel a little bit of pivot lash, but that's me just, you know, trying. to find anything that I possibly can. So this knife is essentially in perfect condition right now. So 15-minute timestamp, boom. All right, let's begin the mayhem. T8 on the pivot. Let's see, it looks like a spinning scenario here. So let me see if one of these sides wants to come loose. There might be a D shape in there that that we just can't see. Even though it's got tooling on both sides, doesn't necessarily mean it's a spinning pivot. And I actually felt like it hit a wall, so I think we're gonna see a D shape. Nope, not on this side, so it might be on the other side. And stupidly, I took it apart from this side. I probably should have went for this side because that's where the screws are. So we'll see what happens here. It's actually been a little while since I've done a disassembly video. I kind of felt like I needed to do one. It's one of the things I love doing on this channel, and I just have not had the chance. So let us see. It should, okay, came apart easy. Really nice internal milling in here. And you can see those screws do go straight through and into the titanium here, which is one nice thing about titanium. And then you have a lanyard pin, not a lanyard pin, sorry, a pin for the backspacer, just sort of a stabilizer placement pin there. Really nice. I did see that they were selling some kits on the website. So if I go over to Null Knives, let's see, we have products, folders, Ghoul, and you have hardware sets. They're 20 bucks. You have polished zirconium kit. Now that actually would look pretty slick on this knife. That's 100 bucks. And then you have dark tie kits for 175. Also would look pretty sick on this knife. The blue would look good. The gold might look, I don't know, actually. It might contrast. Oh, yeah, I would definitely go with the black and white. That would look pretty sick on this, wouldn't it? I might have to grab one of those. 175. Still, look at it. Oh, man, that is sick. So check those out at Null Knives. I figured it was going to be 5mm 1/16 bearings. That's what it looks like here. We can double check that. And it is a nested liner. Nested liner. Like this is Ghoul number 427. That's cool. Nice numbered. Nice and numbered. So here you have the insert is mounted here. You can see the screw. Now it's mounted from this side, so you'd have to remove the liner to get to it, but we don't need to get to it. And there's that D shape. Wait, I swear. No, it is. It looks like it does just spin, which is fine in my opinion. Well, no, technically we can't see the other side. So I can't tell you that it's, let's see if we can push this out. Should be able to push it out, right? Looks like it wants to come out. Oh, maybe I gotta... Let me see. I mean, this side is really in there, so I don't know if it's... There might be a D shape. Let me just see if I can... Ugh. Can't get enough pressure on it. I really don't want to mess with it. I could obviously just unscrew this and see if there's a D shape there, but then I have to re-Loctite or glue this screw, and I don't feel like doing that. I don't see the beginning of a D shape, and again, I don't care. I actually like spinning pivots better because you get... Here, I'll quickly explain it. For a spinning pivot, you're going to have a tooling on both sides, and then you're going to have a round barrel throughout the entire length of the internals, right? And the reason I like that is twofold. One, it's easy to adjust because you have tooling on both sides. So you can, you know, tighten both. Because sometimes one of the issues you have with D-shaped pivots is the pivot cap, the side that doesn't have tooling, will loosen, and you don't know it happened, and you don't have tooling there, so you don't think to tighten it down or anything. And then you can't ever get your knife centered, or the action just feels wrong. And then you'll take the knife apart and you'll see that that pivot cap side is actually loose off the pivot. And then you have to like hold it down with a Knipex and try to tighten it down. It's just a pain in the ass. A true captive pivot, something like this, where you have like a design piece on this side and you know that that's not going to loosen, right? Because it can't. It literally cannot loosen. It's in a pocket. It's a unique shape. And then a regular tooled screw on this side. This is probably the most ideal situation for a knife pivot, but sometimes it doesn't work with the design. You just want to have a regular pivot screw. So I actually think a spinning pivot scenario is then the best option. So I would put full captive inset kind of pivot as number one, and then I would put a spinning pivot as number two, and then I would put D-shape just on the end of the pivot as number three, and then I would put full length D-shape as probably my last option for a pivot system. Of course, the worst option is when people do a spinning pivot like this and then they don't tool one side because they don't know what they're doing. That's the worst option. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now. So yeah, I cannot seem to get this out, and you know what? Unfortunately, I think I might have to mess with it because I do want to get that washer out. Let's see if we can just pop her. That sounded wrong, but it's also what he said probably. There we go. We got it out. And there is a D shape. No, wait. Man, it's so hard to tell. It looks like there is a D shape. Yep. You can see it. I'll zoom in just so you guys know. Some of you guys hate spinning pivots. It's hard to tell, but you can see the beginning of the D shape right there. You see the gap where it meets the scale inside that pocket, the washer pocket. That's the D shape right there starting. Hopefully you can get a good view right there. See if I pull it around, you can see there's the D shape. So you have to line that up perfectly to push this out. It should just pop out because it's in alignment. But maybe it might even be made not to be able to go through. So it's probably made so that you loosen this screw and then you push the pivot out the other side. But of course, me being me, I didn't think before I did anything. And now we're here. So that's done. It is a full nested liner lock because you have a full liner in here. But it's nested, so it's milled out. The titanium's milled out, and then that liner sits in it. A inset liner lock would be where you just have this lock bar tab, and then that's mounted to the titanium, or maybe it comes down and then the clip mounts it, but you don't have this part of it. Think our mash design. Our mini growler has that design. A lot of our stuff kind of has that design, but sometimes a full liner is necessary. It also sometimes is better because you get more structure there. But I'm gonna shut up. Let's keep moving here. Sorry, like I said, I haven't done a disassembly in a while, so I guess I'm full of stupid information you guys might not need. All right, so I'm just going to drop a little bit of KPL heavy here just to stick this down. Basically, I'm flipping the washer over so that the side that was already used is now on the opposite side, and I have a fresh washer here that I can use for my skiff bearings. That's not always necessary, but if you can do it, it is ideal to have a fresh washer when putting in new bearings, because The stock bearings have already worn a track, and it's possible they're actually different. Those balls land in a different spot, and it can actually make your action feel weird. So if you can do it, it's good. You just clean this stop pin. I am going to put a little bit of Loctite just to be safe. It is a Reassembly construction, but I mean, I've had this happen with expensive knives, cheap knives, doesn't matter. Just get this going. So what I'm doing right now is putting, well, first I'm just trying to get this Loctite to flow here. There it is. Putting a little bit of Loctite in each of these pin pockets, because a lot of times what happens is these pins will rattle just because there's a little bit of space. And then you put your knife together, everything feels perfect, and you shake it and you hear a rattle and you're like, mother, that little thing that does not matter is driving me nuts. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that doesn't happen. This is what you're gonna need for this knife if you're gonna do a bearing swap. I'll double check that right now. We're gonna use the Skiff Workshop Test Fit card. As you guys know, Skiff essentially sponsors my disassembly videos. They send me bearings and stuff to do the disassemblies. Even though I would be buying them if they didn't, it doesn't make a difference. Not gonna change what I say, but I love Skiff. That's basically what I'm saying. And they have this test fit card so you can figure out what bearings you need. Basically, you slot it in to figure it out. So this is going to go right in here, 1/16. Just to show you, it won't fit in the 3/64. So it's a 1/16 bearing size. And then to figure out the pivot size, you take the pivot and you just fit it into the one that works, 5mm. So by that, we know we need 5mm 1/16 bearings. And then you're gonna want the 12 ball count. Sometimes there's different sizes, but in this case, I don't think there are actually. There's just the 12s. Unless he's made a multi-row that I don't remember, but I've never seen that actually on a knife, so it doesn't matter because I'm not gonna use it. So real quick, I'm just gonna clean the detent ball, clean the lock bar. Because I said the detent could be a little bit stronger, I'm just gonna pretend I'm actually adjusting it right now slightly. I doubt I did anything there, and I don't wanna take this apart and go crazy. But maybe I added a touch there, we'll see. This is how the clip is mounted. So you actually have two screws holding that clip in, which is interesting because they almost look like they're fatter than the clip. Look at that. So it almost looks like the screw heads are outside. Well, I guess it only matters that the stem goes in. This is gonna be sturdy, that's for sure. Really cool construction. Okay, let us put this puppy together. We're gonna put away our KPL heavy. I'm just gonna drop a touch. Actually, let me clean the blade. Clean those bearing pockets. Everything's really clean. Again, it's a Reassembly made knife. One thing I love about Reassembly, this is something we're trying to get Kubi to do for us. They do pass through detent holes. Why would that do anything? Well, I think it really helps keep away detent lash, which is something I hate, because any gunk that could get in the detent hole that's on your detent ball, like just shit that can get on it because there's oil on there and it builds up, it's wearing on the blade or whatever, it just passes right through. So that gunk just falls out the back here instead of piling up in the detent ball hole and causing issues. Make sense? Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna put a touch of heavy, which always ends up being too much, on the detent ball track. Just trying to, there we go. Hey, look at that. Put a touch on the ball. There we go. All right, hey, look at that. We didn't use too much. Then we're gonna need our KPL Original. Come Original, come Original. You could pick up KPL and KPL Heavy and stuff. I believe Skiff Workshop has that as well. And you can use my code LeftyEDC at Skiff Workshop to save 10%. So that'll knock 10% off your bearings, maintenance stuff, your finger bit, which is a great tool for spinning pivots and barrels, and your test fit cart. You can save 10% with code LEFTY10. Plus, you're supporting a great American business in Skiff Workshop. Just good people. Steve's a great dude. And they also have the Drop Point you should check out. It's a online newsletter. It's free for you to sign up. And it tells you about all the upcoming drops, which is really nice. So here is where we're going to put this pin back in that holds the backspacer down while you're assembling the knife. Like so. Perfect. And then we're going to drop this on. And we're going to see how this goes because I took it apart sort of backwards. But don't see it being an issue, honestly. So that just needs to pop in place properly. All right, I'm going to leave this for a second because I did not clean the pivot screw. And you know what we're going to be doing. If you watch this channel, you know what's coming next. I busted out the Loctite for the pin there, but we're probably going to use super glue for this pivot. And some people still don't understand why I do that, but that's okay. Just want to get this started. We're going to test everything before we Loctite it, obviously, because we're smart knife guys. Nice click still. Perfect. Reassembly is my favorite OEM for many reasons. Their quality is the best. And they also have the most consistent construction. And what I mean by that is you take it apart, you put it together, it seems to go back together the way it came apart. A lot of companies kind of force their knives together. They'll make it centered for sale, but then the customer takes it apart and it just does not go back together the same way. And that can be very frustrating. But Reassembly, usually, you're not going to have that problem. We are a bank vault right now. We'll see if this thing drops. And, of course it does. And how's that centering? Perfect, just like it was before. And this is what I'm talking about. Let's see if I did anything to this detent. Click sounds good. Maybe a little bit. Could have also just been the cleaning, but I think I did. Nah, we'll see, but it feels good anyway. Yeah, that reverse flick feels better, but maybe I'm just learning how to do it. Either way, it feels fantastic. Skiff bearings always, in my opinion, improve your knife. The rare occasion that it doesn't, it's because you couldn't flip the washers and they just don't line up or something. So let's just rehash here. We're gonna make sure these are tight. Oops, they are. And then we're gonna loosen this again. And this is what I do. I will check it. So I'll take this out and then I'll tighten it again. Because who knows, maybe I got lucky last time. Feel how tight I put it. Centering's good. Bank vault. drops. Literally sounds great. No lash, nothing weird. Okay, so now we take it apart again. Clean it one more time. Like so. I can see the Loctite on it. Okay, grab the super glue. I have a whole video explaining why I do this for those of you who care. And again, I always test the knife first, make sure I have the position right, because with super glue, you don't get a lot of time like you do with Loctite. You can't just adjust it a ton after you do it. So I just put a little bit on the threads and then tighten it. Centering's good. No play. See if it can go a little more. Perfect. No lash. Perfect flicky flicky. I mean, it's a bank vault there. No up and down again, unless I really wrench on it. Even that feels better now. Great drop. No pivot lash. Even if I wrench on it now, nothing. Great shakedown. I'd say that was a win, guys. And that is the beauty, the absolute beauty of Reassembly knives, Reassembly OEM knives, and Skiff bearings. When those two things combine, it really usually is a success, you know? But the cool thing about Reassembly is, for most of you guys, you don't have to even feel the need to put Skiffs in them to begin with because they feel so good. But for those weirdos like me, usually you end up happy when you have a Reassembly made knife and you add Skiffs. Perfect centering. Action feels great. Locked up like a bank vault. I mean, what more can you ask for? And they're only going to break in and get better. So there you go, guys. That is the Null Knives Ghoul disassembly, reassembly, Skiff bearing swap, and overview. Big shout out to Sean at Null Knives. Thank you so much, dude. You are a legend for sending this over. I really appreciate that. If you guys have any questions about the Ghoul, please let me know down in the comments. Maybe Sean will watch this, or I will shoot your questions over if you have any. If you want to pick one up, it looks like Blade HQ is the place to go. I'll link that down below. I think I do have affiliate links to Blade HQ. I'm not positive they're still active, but if so, I will add that down below for you to use. It does help the channel if you do that. And I will also link Skiff Workshop. Use the code LeftyEDC over there. And of course, I will link Null Knives. They do have a pre-order going for the R2 right now, which is another sweet-ass knife from Null. So that's it. I love you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.